Hey, this is Joel. Welcome back to the Traveler Toolkit. Today I've got a fun video for you. Maybe it's going to be fun for you, not as fun for me, because I'm outside now and we're in the single digits. It's freezing outside, but I've dedicated myself to being outside during the months that I wouldn't normally be outside this year, just to experience all four of the seasons, really, just kind of enjoy the outdoors for all that it is instead of being upset that it's not nice and warm all the time. So here's the premise of today's video. I'm out here in the woods and I've brought along the cheapest survival kit that you can buy on Amazon, because as I've spent more time outside during these cold months, I thought, you should at least have some basic safety and survival essentials with you, just in case something happens. You have to spend the night. You're not hundreds of miles away, but you get turned around, you can't find your way. At least helps you to get through and maybe survive a tough evening. So today we're going to try out a kit that only cost $50. That's right, I said $50, and I bought it specifically because it was really popular on Amazon, and I thought, if a lot of people are buying this, it must have some merit to it. So we're going to break it open. We're going to try to see in a simulated survival situation how well it does, if it's worth even $50, and if it's something that could get you out of a serious situation should you find yourself in it. So let's go ahead and get things started. Now, on our property here, the creek crossing is normally way down there, but it's been below freezing for weeks, and I'm wondering if I can cross here. I see some footprints down there from some animals, and I probably weigh more than they do, but I just can't help but want to check it out. Oh boy. Yeah, seems completely solid. Dang, look at the ice. Look how thick that is. It's a lot of ice. We can walk all the way across here. Looks like no problem. It's really fun when you're out in the snow because you can see the game tracks really clear. So I can see that this is where a bunch of deer and maybe some fox and some rabbits have been going up and down and crossing here. So good place for me to jump up to. There's no exit around here. Finally found a way out. This is the spot. All right, so the only thing other than this survival kit that I brought out with me was my cameras, 1, 2, and a stool here. So just to kind of recap, I bought the cheapest but also the most popular survival kit that I could find on Amazon, and we're going to test out some of the things that it came with. There's a whole load of things that came in this that I didn't think were worth bringing out into the woods with me, so I left them in the shop. I'll show them to you toward the end of the video, but here's a first look at the bag. It's a sling bag. Just kind of has one sling over the top, and it's got all the stuff inside with the exception of one tool. This is a good look at the axe that I think is probably the main component of this kit. We're going to use a lot here. We've got the axe blade with a hammer on top. We've got a knife inside this handle. We've got a farrowing rod here for starting fires, as well as a glass breaker. I'm going to take you through several of those uses here today, but my main goal for this video is to set up the main components of a survival situation, which are fire, shelter, and maybe a way to get food. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be hunting any food with this or anything else in this today, but if we got in a bad situation, could we survive right here for the night in these super cold temperatures with only what we have in this survival kit? So let's go ahead and get that started. First thing to do is unpack everything, start clearing an area, set up the shelter that is inside here, go over some more components, and then start getting some wood so we can start a fire. All right, now I chose this area specifically for these trees here. I'm thinking if I'm trying to survive the night, I'm gonna find a small stand of trees or just kind of the edge of something that I can hunker down in. These trees have a good distance between them, so I'm gonna go ahead and start using this as my area to set up a shelter. Now, I'm gonna show you a few things that came in this pack that we'll get back to. The first is the first aid kit that's right on top. I find that really helpful and I'm glad it has it. We'll go over what's in here and how you might use it a little bit later. The second thing that I'm going to pull out is what they call the life tent. Now this tent is something we're going to use today. We'll pull it out here because I know it has a plastic wrap on it. A lot of these things in here are like one-time use, but I think you could pack this back in. This tent has kind of a foil outside on it and inside, so it's going to keep heat inside. Hopefully we can build a fire close to it and kind of keep heat into this. So we're going to use this tent here. And then to set up this area, the last piece of the large part of this kit here is this shovel. Now, this is my first, I did unpack this. I did unpack this before I started, and this was my first disappointment. I thought this would be a real shovel. It is not a real shovel, but hopefully it can help us clear out this area. It's a two-piece. It kind of folds up like that, you can see, and it stores in this camo bag that it came in. So I think we're going to just screw this handle in here and then screw this top together. Now you see it can come straight like this or be stored flat like that, but it also has what they're calling an ice pick. Maybe we can go try that out on the creek on the way back, but if you did it like a T, you would have shovel on one side and ice pick on the other. It's a pretty lightweight tool, but you could do some damage with that if you had to, if you had nothing else. So let's go ahead and put it in shovel mode. That's what I'm going to try to use it in. Again, this is not stuff that we're looking to, help us survive for a year. We're trying to get through a night here. So let's go ahead and use this little shovel. I'm going to clear this area out here so we have a spot to make a fire and then also a spot to set our shelter up. So let's go ahead and do that. Whew. Now, I will say, I thought this shovel would be relatively useless, but this ice or this snow has a layer of ice in it. And I can't really kick it with my foot all the way to the bottom without first breaking that ice. Hear that? Just like breaking the ice with the shovel. So this shovel actually turned out to be pretty handy in the scheme of things. You'll see I got a nice little area here ready, big enough, I believe, for the shelter that we have in here, which we're going to hang between these trees with a paracord, hopefully that's long enough, and then we'll create a fire kind of up in this area to keep ourselves warm at the front of the tent. So let's keep going. We'll take our tent, set it back there. They also provided us with some paracord that we can use to run this from tree to tree. I don't know how much I have, so we should probably have checked that out. I'm going to save some of the other stuff in here to show you after we get this shelter up. But first goal is shelter, fire, then food. We can talk about the goodies. Yeah, this is not even close to long enough, but I do have an idea. All right, so a couple other things that they put in the kit is a paracord survival bracelet, which these things are kind of cool. You can put them around your waist or around your wrist, and they're all the way woven, so you can unwind this and use this extra paracord if you need it. They also gave me a couple really cheap plastic carabiners, so that might make it really easy to string this up across these trees. I don't know, I may have to go for a smaller section, but since I've done all this work here, I'm gonna try to make this work with the extra paracord that I have. So I'm just gonna undo this bracelet. And they make it kind of easy. They burn the edge here and you just push this in, push this edge in, and you can pull it out and it starts to unravel. A shame to unravel, but hey, we're surviving here. That's what this is for. This looks like it's going to be pretty long once we get it completely unraveled. Maybe longer than the piece that they initially gave us. It's shocking how much fits in this little bracelet. Okay, we are done. We're just pulling this off of the actual plastic clip here. This plastic clip also has a striker and farrowing rod right there in the center. So I can take this. Whew, not sure if you saw that. You can strike a spark with this clip here. So I'm going to keep that in case we need it. We have those in a couple other places in the kit, so I'm not as concerned about it right now. But having multiple ways to start a fire is always a good thing. I'm just finishing with the piddly last pulls here. All right, we got all the string from the bracelet, and I hope that is going to be enough to get us across here. I actually think it will be. Look at that. It's been 30 years, but left over right, right over left, left over right, square knot, baby. That's Boy Scouts. And then, yeah, we definitely have enough room to get across. We might just use these plastic carabiners that they've given us to attach to our tree. There's one, and I'm just gonna clip it around this tree just to get it started. Nice attachment point. And then testing, oh yeah, we've got enough line now. Now this is a basic A-frame tin, it looks like. It's gonna go over top. Hopefully it has some, well, your boy's an idiot. You already knew that. This comes with string inside with the tent, so it's probably longer, but it's the exact same type of paracord. We got it done, doesn't matter, but does have string in there. So inside you'll see we've got like a foil. That's for warmth to be locked in there. I see what we're doing here. Now let's just run our line through so we can run it to that tree. All right, we are getting there. You see, the idea is to make this an A-frame so you can kind of get inside of it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some wood and stick it back here so that we can hold this section down and hopefully make something that looks a lot more like an A-frame. All right, got some wood here. Used the axe for the first time. I'll take you over next time so you can see it. But we're just gonna prop these open with a little bit of timber here. Just need one more piece in the back. We're looking much better. I decided it was too high. I lowered it a little. All right, this is the best I could possibly make it look, with a couple pieces of wood in the corners, in each corner there, and the paracord they provided. I mean, we're not trying to spend a week here. We're just spending one night. So the question is, would that last one night? Well, if the weather's relatively calm like it is today, yeah, I think so. It's pretty lightweight. You can see already got a tear in it there, but just sticking your head inside here, you can feel how much warmer it is. Blocks the wind, and this kind of this aluminum reflective coating holds some warmth in here. If I would have thought ahead, I could have backed this up to something and it would have been a little bit more of a blocker, but our wind is coming this direction. So I think you can kind of see how it's getting pushed down I think that will do a lot of good in an overnight situation. It's not the roomiest thing in the world, but just getting in here inside the tent off the wet ground, we've dug down underneath the snow. I already feel warmer. You got this reflective material. We get a fire going nearby, and I think we can stay warm for a lot longer inside this shelter. Survival situation, this is better than nothing. Okay, now that the shelter's up, I have a better idea of where I should have shoveled to, so I'm gonna clear a space and we're gonna do a fire right here. Get out of here. Yeah. Boy, I can tell you, the main directive of do not sweat is real out here. When you're moving around snow and just kind of jumping around trying to get things done, you can work up a sweat really quick. Pop those ears out of the ballgame, let some of that heat come out before my head freezes. But we're gonna be putting in some more heavy labor over there at the wood chopping pile. So let's see if we can find some dry wood that's off the ground, chop it up for kindling, get back here and try to start our own fire. This may or may not work. Now, dry wood is going to be a challenge here, but I'm hoping that this down tree will provide with enough small limbs and twigs up off the ground to get us started. Let me just show you this hatchet real quick to get things going, because I'm going to use it in several different ways. So you've got the hatchet head here that screws onto the top, and this whole handle is kind of modular. Everything comes apart, goes back together. This is an area where you could store stuff like fire starters. In the middle, there's a blade. On the bottom, there's a farrowing rod. And all the way on the bottom, the tip is a glass breaker. Not sure why you'd need it. Now, I did notice on the first couple chops when I was getting those woods together, this head, even if it's really tight, wants to twist. When you hit, if it's a little off center, wants to twist and unscrew. So I would rather have seen this part of the axe stay together, but right here in the middle, let me see if I can find it. Aha. Right here in the middle, we also have a blade with a saw on it, which I think this is the main reason this kit is useful, this whole tool. So we've got a blade here with a bit of a pretty substantial saw. So I'm going to try to use these two things in concert to get us some wood, get back there, try to spark a fire with the rods that they have inside here, see if we can get something going, and then just keep feeding it. Ooh. The problem is this wood is really green. So maybe there's some more dead wood underneath. All right, come in closer so you can see. This is not the greatest. See what I mean? The grooves on this just need to be deeper. They're not deep enough to grab much tree. This is green, it's full of water. It's not gonna burn, but I just thought I'd show you if you were trying to trim a limb off a branch with this, it would take a while. They just get eaten up inside there. These are pretty shallow. So I don't think this is gonna be a serious option when it comes to getting limbs for fire. The axe is a little bit better. I'm trying to find some dead wood. You can see, even though it's got snow on it, this wood is dead. So we can chop these pieces off here. There we go. But we need smaller stuff to start. I'll tell you what has seemed to work pretty good is coming up here to like these scraggle bushes. That's what I call them. A lot of dead stuff hanging in here. See this dead branch? Completely dry up off the ground. We'll take that with us, but grabbing these little edges. Yeah. See how these are completely dry, dead? Those are great to start fires. All right. There's a good start. I'm gonna get some more at the ready. Okay, we got some more intermediate sticks here. Feel pretty good about this, along with our larger stick here, completely dead. Now inside the kit, they do give you a specific, let's see if I can find it, rod and striker kit and some, check this out, some fire starter sticks. Hopefully those are good because that's all we got. Oh, here it is. The rod and striker. Got to keep these things dry. We'll go one at a time. I think maybe you're supposed to, I don't know, break this apart a little. I don't know, maybe like that. All right. Oh, I blew it out. Okay. There we go. Nice. Now we're going. Now we're going. Well, whatever that is, that little thing, it burns pretty good. All right, well, I was a little skeptical that we would actually get that done because I was having trouble finding dry wood, and that farrowing rod, man, that just threw a lot of spark, but that little fire starter didn't want to go. Took me maybe 15 plus minutes of trying, but we got a lot of wear on this thing and it finally got worn in enough that it worked. I'm really impressed that it actually worked, and once I got this axe head tightened on here, that worked pretty well. Two, I would say the knife inside, do not count on that to be able to cut anything as far as a saw goes on wood. Now, I will say that's a pretty sharp looking knife, and if I was out here and I was going to try to maybe kill some food, you could take these off, make this a longer, like that long. You could attach them that way. That's kind of a spear. That really could be handy to have around. I think for a one night situation, we're in a good spot. We've got fire. I mean, now we've got a good fire. I'm actually got some heat coming off of it. We've got a shelter. We've got still some things in our bag that we haven't even gone over. I'll take a look at a few of them. One thing that I left out was I wanted to try this, but now we've got all our wood. We don't really need it. It's a pull chain that kind of pulls back and forth to cut bigger logs. If you were trying to make a shelter for a little bit longer and needed something to get a longer piece of wood, that would be it. It also has some basic fishing tackle, which obviously we're not going to be able to use this time of year. You saw the water as we came in, but fishing tackle could come in handy if you were anywhere near water and needed to get some food. Now, here are some really handy pieces. There is a poncho, which, you know, we'll pull that out and check it out in a minute, which would be great if it was raining, just to keep your outer layer dry. And then we have this foil blanket. This is just like the inside of the tent. We'll check this out here real quick. The reflective material is gonna shield you from a lot of different things. Woohoo! Watch the fire. So I know there's actually some science to this, because when you wrap it around yourself, you do feel the humidity staying inside. So you could wrap yourself in this, keep warm. It's not insulated, but it sure does keep you drier and just kind of, you know, better set around a fire. You could even wrap yourself around a little bit of the heat and it kind of holds the heat in. And then finally, a few items that'll be real handy when the sun goes down. This is a headlamp, and I actually own this headlamp. I've had this for a couple years. It's exactly like the one I have at home. This thing has a long LED beam on it and a spotlight. You can charge it up before you head out, USB-C, holds a charge a long time, so if you forget about it, it's really handy to have around. It doesn't actually flicker, that's solid, it's just the camera like that, but it's nice to have something where you can use some light but be hands-free and actually do some things like go out and gather some wood, maybe go to the bathroom. This, for the few hours of light it's going to give you, is really handy, especially in like a single night scenario. And a few other things in the kit that didn't make the most sense. This tactical pin. I mean, if I'm lost and outside, I don't have a pin, I think I'll be okay. The most helpful thing it has is a glass breaker on the backside. Not a lot of glass I'm breaking into, but it included that. And it also included a spork, which, again, handy utensil to have if you had food. So we were just trying to get through the night. We wouldn't have any food. That's really what I think this kit is for. And then if you take this sheath off here carefully, you have a knife. That's actually a pretty cool setup there. But again, the knife is probably more useful than the spoon and fork. And then there's a little whistle right here if you need to maybe signal somebody. Feels like more of an animal call than a distress whistle, but I don't know. You got to whistle. Take some practice. This looks like one of those ponchos you'd get at Disney World before you go on the log ride. Ah, where's the head? Oh, it's not a hole. It's got arms. There we go. As you can see, it comes in one size, medium. It's got buttons. Oh, fashion forward. Better than having your clothes all wet. And then the last thing I wanted to show you was this first aid kit, because I think this is an essential part of an overnight survival bag. I was about to pull out these bandages because, look, they have some bandages that are completely sealed and watertight, and those would be great fire starters. If our actual fire starter didn't go, I could have used one of these. I've got two of them, but you can take these out, wrap them around yourself. There's some tape, some little scissors, Q-tips. No, I'm not sure why those would help you out there. Some vinyl gloves. I guess if someone was with you and you wanted to not be contaminated. Triangular bandage for tying up. Okay, you dislocate a shoulder or something like that. You've got some iodine prep pads. Do some surgeries. Band-aids. I mean, that's really helpful. I get cut a lot. Just all different kinds of bandages, and there's the same iodine prep pads and some alcohol pads. So I mean, a little set of tweezies in case you get a splinter in your finger. But this stuff is really good to have. I'm glad they have all of this stuff in here. All right, so you get the gist of what's going on here. I think these are the bare minimum essentials, and with some substitutions, this could really help get you going on a survival kit that would get you through one night in an emergency situation. So let's head back to the shop and take a look at the items that I left behind and talk about some things that I think maybe you should add to the kit just in case you get stranded. All right, we're back here in the nice warm shop. I really enjoyed shooting this style of video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave me a comment down below. I need to know if you guys like this type of content, want to see more, want to see less. Just let me know, good, bad, or ugly. And be sure to subscribe if you're not, because if you're watching this deep into the video, then you ought to be. Now, I've gone over this pack and looked at a couple different things that I would modify, things I like about it, things I didn't like about it. Let's talk about final verdict. I just want to say, first, I also noticed you could take this back strap off. This button here allows you to tuck this strap back in here and kind of tie it up. I think that's the way I would prefer to use this, because if I stuck this inside a larger pack and just kind of had it as my survival gear, if I was doing something that maybe was a little more off the beaten path and I was a little worried, or I would keep this in a truck. These are the things that I left behind out of the kit because I really couldn't find a good reason to take them. I mean,
They just throw these things in sometimes. This is like a junky little carabiner that hooks onto something. It's a cover for your phone, a waterproof cover. I guess that could come in handy if you were out there and it was raining and you wanted to just ditch your phone in here so it wasn't ruined. This could be handy, but we had these tools on other items. I didn't see why we should bring this. Just a little stainless steel, not even credit card size, small little multi-tool. And then this I thought was the funniest. There it is open. It's just a pretty lightweight little camping lantern that runs on 2 AAAs. And I thought we weren't getting any time out of those AAAs. So I saved the bulk, left it behind, and just thought these things were better served here and not there. Could already have some things in the bag that did what these do, and it wasn't worth bringing them along. I think as an idea, this is great. It's a pretty good little bag. It's got lots of little pockets, and it's a good start. I would say 25% of what they include can be thrown out. We've already talked about some of those things that just didn't matter. Let me tell you what I kept and why, and kind of my grades for each thing. Obviously, I think the real winner for this bag is the hatchet / hammer. Once we got this thing going, I really enjoyed it. And what I would get rid of is the knife attachment in the center. It didn't really do that well as a saw. I'm sure it was a good knife, but we'll talk about why I don't think you need this. And if you get rid of that, you can take this handle off, because with that knife, there's no way to store that except for inside the handle of the hatchet, which makes it really long and hard to store. So there's a nice pocket in the back of the bag that you can easily stick this in. I would keep this hatchet, and it's probably worth the whole price of the kit, if not at least half the price of the kit. And it sticks right back here in the back of the bag. Really easy to store. That's one thing that I think you should keep. Then there's the first aid kit. We went over that. I love that it has all the basics and even some things that can help you out in survival situations. Serious, not serious, just keeps you covered. This is a great thing. Definitely keep that. Don't know that I would add much to it unless you had a specific medical need. Then there's the shovel. You know, at first I thought this is going to be a total loss. It's worthless, but it came in clutch and actually ended up being kind of handy. It's pretty small. You know, you could dig a latrine, go to the bathroom in it. I don't think you're going to do any serious digging, you know, but this is not meant to like help yourself build a house in the wilderness. So I think it's handy to have around. It's small enough. I don't mind just sticking it in the bag and keeping it in this main compartment. That's what I've kept right here in this main compartment. Those are the only things I kept from that. Then on the front, I kept the 2 little items that I think were the most useful, the little fishing kit and the cutting wire, which we didn't test because we didn't really need to. But if we were going to stay longer, throw bigger logs on the fire, this might have been the way to do it. Really hard to do, takes a long time. But if you're in a pinch, that's something I would keep. And then in the front pocket, obviously, I think we've got the spork / whistle / knife. I think I'm getting rid of this. There's no reason to keep this in a survival situation. You don't need it. Same with the tactical pen. I don't know why we need that. Really don't. The striker and rod, yeah, keep that. It threw a nice flame. Once you get it worn in, you can throw a nice little spark out there. This is handy, but what I would add to this, just in case, so you don't have to, is go ahead and add a lighter. I like these with a little longer stem on them. Just pick these up at a gas station. Keep 1 or 2 of these around. These are pretty handy to have around if you want some extra protection. Throw them in a Ziploc baggie. You can even throw some matches in a little Altoids tin inside Ziploc baggies if you want. But the most important thing is that you have a secondary lighting source. And then finally, something I would add to this, I wouldn't go crazy, but I would go ahead and add your multi-tool of choice. Now, this is something I keep with me most of the time when I'm out and about. Mine is a Leatherman Signal. I've had this Signal for probably about 5 years. Really enjoyed the way it works. This actually has a carabiner, so I could just keep this with me on a normal basis. When I want it on this bag, I could clip it to the outside of the bag, but I've created so much room that I could throw it inside the bag, keep it with me, because like I said, I would throw something like this into a larger sack or just keep it around. Keep this there, because when you add something like a quality multi-tool, you're going to get items like, for instance, mine has a really nice saw. I've had to saw little branches off with this, much better than what we had with this kit. Obviously, this knife cost a couple times more than what the kit cost, but some of you have these things around. It also has a striking rod on it. It also has a really good knife on it, a pair of pliers, things like that. So I would add what you have to it. Give yourself a better knife. Give yourself a better little saw, maybe a set of pliers if you think you need them. If you don't want to go bare bones and all you have is a knife, just add an extra knife. Take that other knife out. I think you're going to be fine. But all these things put together will really get you in a situation where you're more prepared should anything go wrong while you're out there. And that's all we're really trying to do, is prevent the worst from happening. So if you have to spend a night in the woods, definitely keep this thing around. And of course, keep that reflective shelter with you, the paracord, the bracelet that we took apart to make things a little bit longer, the foil blanket. I think I'd throw out the raincoat and some of those silly things, but definitely that reflective material, that's going to save you in an emergency situation, and you want to keep that around. So there you have it. We've tried out this very popular and very inexpensive survival kit that you can get on Amazon. If you should want it, I'll leave a link in the description below. As always, my name is Joel. This is the Traveler Toolkit, and I will see you in the next video.